Hello everyone, we're from Group 3 and today our group will be presenting on the topic language choice in multilingual communities. So here are our group members. They are Melody Wang, Tian Meilin, Noor Alia Nisa, Noor Fatin Fasiha, Jiashu Chen, Hou Yutong, Liang, and Yao Risong, which is me. Okay, so now let's begin. When it comes to multilingual communities, people choose different languages depending on the situation, audience, and social roles involved. For example, we might speak a dialect at home, use a mix of languages with friends, and switch to a standard language or English in school or at work. This kind of switching is a natural part of social interaction. But language choice is not just about communication, it also reflects deeper issues such as cultural identity, social status, and power dynamics. For instance, we may choose a certain language because it's seen as more formal or prestigious, or we may return to our mother tongue when we feel emotionally connected. In this presentation, each of our group members will share more about this fascinating topic. We hope you will enjoy it and gain a deeper understanding of the social meanings behind language use. And as you watch, think about this. How do you choose which language to speak in your daily life, and why do you make that choice?
Hello everyone, today I'm going to talk about domains of language use. There are some domains, phonology, morphology, syntax. In phonology, the term language use typically refers to how speakers actually employ the sound system of their language in real communication. This includes both systematic patterns and variation in pronunciation, stress, intonation. It sits at the intersection of phonological theory and language in practice. Language use in morphology refers to how speakers actually use and manipulate these word building elements in real life communication, which may differ from the idea or textbook version of how words are supposed to be formed. Language use in syntax looks at how these structures are actually used in conversation, writing, texting, including variation, mistakes, style traces, and changes over time. Semantic language use in semantics focus on how people actually understand and convey meaning in everyday communication, including ambiguity, implied meaning, word choice, and culture nuance. Pragmatic is the study of how people use language in context beyond the literal meaning. It's all about what speakers meaning, how meaning is interpreted, and how things like tone, setting, culture, and shared language knowledge affect in communication. So, language use in pragmatics looks at how people navigate meaning in real time, including things like indirect speech, politeness, talking, sacrism, and more.
Hello everyone, my name is Melody Wongsenli and my matrix number is A2019992. So, today I'll be talking about multilingualism. Multilingualism or bilingualism is the knowledge or the use of more than one language by an individual or community. For example, if you know two languages, you are considered bilingual. If you know more than two languages, such as three languages or four languages, you are considered multilingual. There are a few reasons why one would be multilingual, which are migration, cultural contact, colonization, commercial, scientific, and technology dependence. So, in this slide, we're going to look at how multilingualism and bilingualism shape a language. Over here, we're going to look into two different phenomena, which are individual phenomenon and societal phenomenon. For individual phenomenon, We look at ways how one acquire two or more languages, the presentation of language in their mind, and the ways of assessing language for speaking and writing. For societal phenomena, on the other hand, we look at the status and the roles of language, their attitudes towards language, and the determinants of language choice. Now, we will look at the language variation and multilingualism. So, what are the implications of societal multilingualism? Over here, we're going to look into the recognition of the wide English variation around the world, which can be divided into two main different varieties, which are the native varieties and the non-native varieties. Over here, examples for native varieties, we have British and American English, and for non-native varieties, we have examples such as Malaysian English, Indian English, and Filipino English. So, what is language variation? Language variation is the many different ways of saying the same thing. Over here, the speaker will modify their accent or their pronunciation, their lexicon, their word choices, or grammar, which are their morphology or syntax.
Hi everyone, my name is Leon and my metric number is 198339. Now we will learn diglosia. Unlike bilingualism, where two languages are used, diglosia refers to two varieties of the same language, each with distinct roles in society. Before we study, let's see what you would say in the following scenario. You are in a company quarterly sales report meeting and have to explain how your sales figures and doing to your manager and customers. Which statement should you choose? A. Sales drop, customer all not happy la. B. Our performance for this quarter shows a positive upward trend in customer engagement. C. IO. Very stressed you now. Last month's target all can't hit. Now that we'll go with B because this is a formal occasion and we have to use formal language. Next, you've just stepped out of the bedroom and are about to go to the pantry with a colleague to relax and chat. What would you say that would be more natural? A. That report was really boring. I couldn't keep up with the date. B. Just now the boss talked so long. I blew already la. C. According to the third quarter statistics, we need to reevaluate our approach. Since this is a private, informal setting, our dialogue will be more relaxed. Speak a formal language in formal situations and an informal language in everyday life. This is a dialogia. To put it in linguistic terms, dialogia is a social linguistic phenomenon in which two distinguished varieties of the same language coexist within a single speech community, each serving different social functions. Dialogia have two varieties. One is high variety and another is a low variety. The high variety is used in formal, official, or presentigious contexts. For example, in education, government, religious service, and news media. And the low variety is used in everyday informal communication. For example, at home, with friends, in casual conversations. Key features of dialogia. 1. Functional separation. H and L are used in complementary domains, not interchangeably. H is considered more prestigious, while L is more commonly spoken in informal contexts. 2. Linguistic distance. H and L can differ significantly in grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation, even though they are considered varieties of the same language. 3. No native speakers of H. Typically, the H variety is learned through formal education, while the L variety is acquired naturally as a first language. 4. Societal attitudes. H is often associated with literacy, intelligence, and correctness, while L may be perceived as simple, emotional, or even incorrect, despite being widely used.
Code switching. We've all heard it before, but what does it really mean? Code switching refers to people who speak two or more languages, whether bilinguals or multilinguals, who tend to switch languages in the middle of conversations depending on situations. The language and mannerisms used during conversation, whether considered friendly or professional, is also considered as code switching. These are referred to as H code or L code. H code is the use of formal language, while L code is the usage of informal language. There are a few types of code switching. One of them is intrasentential code switch. It refers to the ability to switch between two codes within the same sentence or clause. People who engage in intrasentential code switching can often maintain grammatical coherence between the two or more languages used, even if minor error occurs. An example would be how Malaysians often use Manglish in their everyday conversations, combining English, Malay, Indian, and Chinese words within a single sentence.
Hello, you? Nanti I nak go shopping dekat mall. You nak ikut tak?
Hello? Oh, shopping eh? I cannot lah sekarang. Got banyak assignment kena buat.
Oh, iya ke? It's okay lah. You buat assignment you, I ajak someone else. You nak pesan apa-apa? I boleh tapau kan?
Tak apa. You go have fun. I jumpa you malam ni, kita go dinner sama-sama.
Dinner? Alright lah macam tu. Bye.
There is also situational code switching. This refers to how someone may use a different language or way of speaking depending on the context or setting. A specific speech event may lead both the speaker and the listener to use only one language, even if they are both fluent in the same languages.
Semalam I pergi lepak dekat mall tengok cerita baru keluar kat wayang tu. Best tu. Ya ke? Cerita lah sikit. Apa tajuk? Apa jadi?
You too? Are you done talking about the movies? Please pay attention to my class. And please don't speak Malay during this period. Take this opportunity to converse with me and your friends in English for practice. Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry, miss. Won't happen again. We apologize, miss.
English, throughout its history, has borrowed tons of words from other languages. In English, the word croissant, it's the pastry. Croissant is a French word, has been borrowed. Dope has been borrowed from Dutch. Lilac has been borrowed from Persian. Piano has been borrowed from Italian. Pretzel from German. When you borrow a word, that word is called a loan word. But the irony is that English, because of its unique position in the highly globalized world that we live in today, a lot of languages now borrow words from English. Or you can say there are loan words from English in a lot of languages.
Borrowing or loan word is a word taken from one language and then integrated into another. Borrowing often happens when people speak a second language but use a word from their first language. For example, a Chinese speaker might say pao instead of pan, or a Malay speaker might say air instead of water. This usually occurs when the speaker cannot recall the English word at that moment. Next, borrowing also happens when there is no exact word in the language being spoken. In such cases, we use a word from another language. For instance, karaoke is borrowed from Japanese, zero from Arabic, and shampoo from Hindi. Furthermore, a borrowed word may be adapted to sound or fit like it belongs in the speaker language. For example, lonche in Spanish is borrowed from the English word lunch, and bus in Malay is borrowed from bus. To conclude, people borrow words when speaking a second language, when there is no word in their language, or when borrowed words become part of their daily speech.
Okay, let's move on to translanguaging. Translanguaging meaning is going beyond traditional language boundaries and flexibly integrating and using multiple language resources for communication and learning. It is often regarded as a unitary, forming single or uniform entitled mode of multilingualism. Besides, in translanguaging, people no longer consider different language as an isolated system. Instead, they integrate elements like pronunciation, vocabulary, and grammar to achieve effective communication. It refers to bilingual learners naturally bring the feature of the two language with expressing themselves. Um, and as we know, trans-language theories deny bilinguals have anything like two or more discrete grammars instantiated in their minds. So bilinguals individuals often select linguistic features from a unified mental grammar. And next is about one of the most important thing about translanguaging, which is its differences with code switching. As we know, both two are regarded as beneficial process in bilingual development, contributing to enhancing the communication ability to bilingual or multilingual speakers. But there are still differences between them and always making people confusing. So let's start exploring the differences between them. Translanguaging, it more focuses on the user's overall cognition of language resources and their comprehensive application ability, while in code switching, it more emphasizes on the speakers switching between different languages and the transformation of language form. Second, translanguaging users have strong sense of language and they can consciously make flexible deployment according to the communication need. While in code switching, users, speakers, they always have a relatively weak awareness of the overall cognition and deployment and language resources. Third, translanguaging is learning both language at the same time without separating, while in code switching practice the notion of separating language. Last but not least, translanguage it blurring the traditional boundaries between language to integrate various language elements to achieve better communication effect. While in code switching, the boundaries are often distinct and there are language adjustment switching based on language environment, topic, or object. So in short, code switching is the use of multiple language with clear distinction in the conversation, while translanguaging practice more emphasize the integrated use of multiple language to facilitate communication and learning.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and have a good day everyone. My name is Nofatin Fasihah binti Muhammad Lutfi and my matrix number is A201220. Now I will continue to present about the conclusion of the topic. Language choice is multilingual communities is not just about speaking different language. It's about choosing the right language for the right situation. For example, we might speak our mother tongue at home, the national language at school, and English at work. Each choice reflects who we are talking to, where we are, and what you want to say. Disclosure shows us that people use formal language like in school or meeting and informal language like with friends for different reasons. Code switching is when we switch language in a sentence or conversation. Sometimes many of us do naturally without even thinking, especially in leisure. Borrowing is when we take words from one language and use them in another. For an example, like pow or karaoke. Translanguaging is even more advanced. It is when we mix language in a smooth and creative way to communicate better. It shows that multilingual speakers do not keep their language separate. They use them together as one big tool. So in the end, language choice shows how smart, flexible, and creative people are with language. It reflects our identity, our culture, and we live in a diverse, connected world. Thank you.